How most FPL managers perceive formations in the game is wrong. If you're thinking 3-4-3, 3-5-2, 4-4-2, then you are making a mistake. I'm going to give you an idea on another way to perceive formations in the game, whilst also explaining why I genuinely believe this is the season to start with 5 defenders. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh, it's that time of preseason when 5 at the back comes out again, please just give me some time to explain what I mean when I'm talking about formations and about why I really think this is the season to start with 5 defenders and give yourself the best chance to start the season successfully. So I started this video with a pretty bold claim, suggesting that a lot of the ways that in which we perceive formations in FPL and how we use it when we're squad building is wrong. If you're thinking of formations like 3-4-3, 3-5-2, 4-4-2, I think that's a mistake. I would give you a suggestion when you're building your squad for the FPL season is to look at your squad in a 2-2-1 formation. Now, before you jump in the comments and tell me that my maths is terrible, that adds up to 5, just let me explain. I'm going to call this the spine of your team. 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, and 1 forward, plus a goalkeeper. So we've got 6 in total. Let me just square away the goalkeeper. You will seldom use a free transfer on your goalkeeper. If they're injured, if they're dropped, or on a wild card, but you won't often change voluntarily a goalkeeper at your side. So he's in there. 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, and 1 forward. These are the spine of your team. They are your personal essential players. They probably contain your premiums. Maybe it's Salah and Bruno is the 2 midfielders that you've chosen. My example of a spine team: Pickford in goal, Trent and Diaz as your 2 defenders, Salah and Bruno as your 2 midfielders, and Cavani as your 1 striker. That's 51.5 million. So that leaves 48.5 left. You've only got 6 players and you need 15. Just for argument's sake, yes, you can drop Cavani down and Bruno down and swap this around, but let's just be honest and say your strongest premium personal essential team, 6 of them out of 15, it's going to cost half of your budget. Those 6 players are your hopeful, expectant players. The other 5 are your expendables, the ones that you hope for rather than expect to get points. And that is where I think we're making a mistake. If you look in a 2-2-1 formation and you get your personal essentials and you get the spine of your team, formations don't matter. I'm not even suggesting a 5 at the back formation because we shouldn't even be thinking about formations when we're selecting our sides. It's all about points from players, not positions, not formations. At the end of the day, the most important thing for you is how many points you get at the end of a game week. Don't look at formations when selecting your team. Don't boo-hoo a 5 at the back. Don't toss out a 3-5-2 formation just because of stigma, just because of how you've perceived formations before. If you just build a squad in this 2-2-1 formation and then suggest to yourself, okay, I'm not going to look at anyone's positions, I'm just going to look at their prices, and I'm just going to look at how many points that I think they're going to score, and then see the kind of squad that you make. And I'm going to argue now why 5 at the back would be the best way and the safest way to give yourself the best chance to start this season successfully. So there are 2 sides to every argument, and I'm going to give you 2 key reasons why a lot of people will be against the 5 at the back formation. And the first point is inflexibility. It's an inflexible formation. And the second one is fewer chances of getting FPL points. People want strikers and attacking midfielders to get goals and assists. They don't want to have to rely on a defender to get clean sheets. Now, the first point I'm going to go against here is the inflexible argument. The first thing that I will say is if you don't use a transfer in the first game week, and you go into game week 2, you got 2 free transfers, and you want to take a -4, that's 3 transfers, you can pretty much change any FPL team's shape within 3 transfers. The second thing is, the start of an FPL season, it's Wild West territory. We're hoping last season's stats and form transcends into this season, but in reality, we just don't know what's going to happen. So by saying we're inflexible, we don't know what we are at the start of the season. But what I do know is defenders feel the most reliable season on season. It doesn't feel as volatile in that area. And then finally, I'm going to say wildcard. A lot of you guys out there will use your first wildcard within the first 8 game weeks. Those 2 international breaks, game week 4 and game week 8, I think it usually is. Being inflexible is fine because you're probably going to use that first wild card really early. Not many people will hold it for a very long time. So if there's going to be a time to quote unquote be inflexible, it would be at the start of a season. The next argument people will make against starting with 5 defenders in your starting 11 would be fewer opportunities for your defenders to get FPL points. Midfielders and forwards get goals and that equals points or assists. But here's my arguments against that. First, year upon year, defender points are on the rise, especially wing backs. I'm not suggesting going out and playing 5 defenders, all of them centre backs. That's because football in general is relying more on wing backs, and therefore in FPL they're getting more points. The next thing I'm going to say is, especially for the price and in terms of getting returns from your defenders, for 4.5 million, the options that you get for the price is now significantly better. In the past, for 4.5 million, you could only pick up defenders from newly promoted sides like Watford, Norwich, or Brentford. But this season, for 4.5 million, you can pick up a defender for 4.5 million from teams like Arsenal and Spurs. I understand in the past people would be against starting 5 defenders and especially having one of those defenders at 4.5 million because you're hoping from returns from a defender who plays for Norwich or Watford. But this season, you can have one of your 5 defenders at the back for just 4.5 million that plays for a European hopeful side like Arsenal and Spurs. And finally, minutes. I understand it's a boring way to start the season. People want exciting, but for me, exciting is getting high scores every single game week, not how many goals does my 12 million forward get. It's how many points do I get in a single game week. I want to start the season boring and safe. I want points. I don't care if people say my side is Twitter template. I don't care if you think it's the same as someone else's or different. If I'm sat at the end of game week 1 and I've got 85 points, and most people, the game week average is 50, call my team whatever you want. I don't care. I want to start the season with players that I believe in, but will be on the pitch and get me minutes. For 5.5 million as a defender, you can pick up a player that's probably going to play almost every minute for their side. Think Luke Shaw, think Wan-Bissaka at Manchester United. Players that are nailed for their teams with good chances of returns. If you want a similar high-level club to have a 5.5 to 6 million midfield or forward, you're not going to find it because you wouldn't have a player priced in that way. There's no Manchester United starting striker or midfielder that's worth 5.5 or 6 million. I know it's a boring way to start the season, people will say, with 5 defenders. I just personally think that as a moot point because at the end of the day, you want as many points as possible and it really doesn't matter where they come from. So I'm going to explain then where are these points going to come from and why I think it is in the defender category where you can find those points. So far in the video, I've given you a way in which you can build your squad by using a 2-2-1 spine method. And I've also given you reasons why people would be against starting the season with 5 defenders in their starting 11. So why do I think you should start with 5 defenders in your starting 11? And it comes down to 2 things: playing it safe and maths. Now, I know it's not everyone's favorite subject. It's not going to be difficult maths. I'm not bringing out algebra or Pythagoras theorem. It's just straightforward maths. So let's start with the first point, and that is safety. You have a much wider margin of error if you choose a defender over a midfielder or a forward. So earlier when I said that you've got maybe 5 or 6 players in your squad who for you are your personal essentials, your non-negotiables, the ones that you really want in your side. You've only got 5 or 6. You've got to choose 15. Let's just throw away 4 non-playing subs. You still need to pick up 5 players for your starting 11, and you've only got 50 million left in your budget. When you look at points from last season, keep the points at 120 points. There are 16 defenders, 17 if you include Dallas, who's now a midfielder, who got 120 points or more. 17 defenders. For 6 million or less for attackers, there are 5 who got over 120 points. And only Harrison really stands out with 160. So what I'm saying here is, if you're looking at a whole list of defenders for 6 million or under, the chances are there's going to be 10 or 15 of those defenders who'll get higher than 120 points. So remember, it's a whole new season. Anything can happen. But you're going to have to try and choose the perfect midfielder at the perfect price to outdo 15 other defenders. Forwards, there are 0. There are no forwards 6 million or below that even scored over 100 points last season. So forwards are out of it. So looking at midfielders, only 5 got higher than 120. And for the price that they are, only Harrison is the standout one there who is 6 million because he got 160 points. But you've got to hope that he does it again. Remember, he's the same price as Diaz. He's more expensive than Shaw and Cresswell and Kufal. What I'm saying here is you've got a much bigger target to hit if you choose a 6 million or 5.5 million defender rather than trying to go out there and hope that you've nailed the perfect budget midfielder or striker. So on the screen now, you guys can see my draft, and I'm going to use my team as a case study example to show what I'm talking about in terms of points and value. Martinez, 186 points. That would make him the best 6 million and under goalkeeper, defender, and midfielder. He played all 38 games. Luka Dean got 120 points. Remember, he was the 16th best defender. There are only 5 midfielders for the same price or less who got higher points, but there are 16 defenders that got over 120 points, and he missed 8 games, so you'd expect him to hopefully play more and get even more points. Luke Shaw, 124 points, the 15th best defender. He improved dramatically towards the end of the season. He had a really great Euros, and he missed 6 games. He actually played fewer than 30 games. He only played what equates to 29.4 matches last season. Trent, 160 points, 1 point behind Robbo. But we all agree, I would say, that the first half of last season, he was poor. Shocking at parts of the first half of last season. But the last 10 games, he has shot right up again in terms of things like chance creation and clean sheet potential. He played 33.6 games, but again, we're looking for him to improve on that. He's got a lot of potential, Trent. I know he's 1.5 million more expensive than Harrison, but I think he's still got a lot of room to grow there, Trent. Diaz, 142 points, the 5th highest scoring defender. He played 31.5 games. Kufal, 128 points, 12th most successful defender last season, 34 games. So let's now do comparisons to midfielders and forwards in the same price category. Remember, you need to go out there and you need to get 11 players on the pitch. You need the sub. So you've got your core team, you've got your personal essentials, you've got your premium players who you don't want to move out. You still need to build a team, a squad of 15. Dallas, 171 points. Top. He tops defenders and midfielders. He's a midfielder now. Last year, he was a defender. He doesn't count because obviously a lot of the points got last season were also clean sheets and additional bonus. Harrison, he is the standout one, but you would have had to got him perfectly correct towards the start of the season. One player who stands out with 160 points, the same amount as Trent, but he is the exception to the rule. He's the one that is ahead of the pack. But you would have had to perfectly pick that one player out of everybody else compared to all the other defenders you could have chosen from. Souček, 6 million. He does beat Diaz by 5 points, but that's it. Same price now, 6 million, but I still think Diaz could easily get 142 points or more. Souček, it's his second season. Maybe teams will clock on to what he can do now, but it's around the same. 5 points is really not a lot in it. Diaz doesn't even get goals and assists. He just gets clean sheets most of the time. But then apart from that, it starts to trail away. Traore at 6 million gets 135 points. He only played 2,315 minutes, which equates to 25.7 games. I don't think that's going to significantly improve. Yes, Grealish looks like he's going to Man City, but they've gone out there. They've signed Danny Ings now. They've just made that signing, Danny Ings. So Watkins might be on the wing. They've signed Leon Bailey as well for big money. So I don't see him dramatically improving. And then you've got Fornals, the final player here, who got higher over 120 in the midfield category. He got 125 points. 2,571 minutes, which equates to 28.5 games. The rest of the midfielders for 6 million and below are under 120 points, which doesn't even beat my cheapest defender, who is 5 million, which is Kufal. And the 5 defenders and the goalkeeper I've got, I think, for the first 4 to 8 game weeks have really good fixtures and high potential to get points. If I compare those defenders that I have and my goalkeeper to midfielders for the same price and forwards for the same price, even if I jiggle things around and say, let's go to a 7 million midfielder or a 6.5 million forward, I still think my defenders have the edge. Also, what you notice about having the edge and in terms of fixtures is if you look at the players I've got, I have an Everton defender. Okay, granted, they're not the biggest team, but they have one of the best fixture runs of any of the Premier League clubs for the first 8 to 10 games. I've got a Manchester United defender I've got a Liverpool defender, I've got a Manchester City defender, and then I've also got a West Ham defender who have good fixtures too, and they were, a top 6 side last season. Having players at 5 to 6 million for 120 points, I'm getting players from top sides. If I want to go to midfielders or forwards for the same price, 6 million and below, yeah, I could pick up Harrison, maybe get Smith Rowe, but all the other players in that area are mid-table and below size. So the choice I've got is, do I want to get a defender from the Premier League champions, or the Premier League runners-up, or the Premier League top 4 Champions League chasing sides? You can choose Chelsea defenders too if you think they're going to get it. You can choose pretty much any defender. There's only the 3 Liverpool defenders, Trent, Robbo, and Van Dijk, that are 6.5 million and higher. All the other defenders are under 6 million, 6 million and below. You can either go out there and get a top defender for a top club for 6 million or under, or you're going to have to basically go into the bargain bucket, lower table sides, and try and find an attacking midfield or striker from there, which I just don't think is worth it. Do you think of 5.5 million Luke Shaw or a 5.5 million João Pedro at Watford, who's going to get more points over the course of the season? I even would argue people are going to say a 5.5 million Smith Rowe, but I think over the course of a season, a 5.5 million Luke Shaw or Luca Dean or Diaz or Kufal or Cresswell, I think they still have a higher chance to outscore a 5.5 million Smith Rowe, even though he plays for Arsenal. Another point I'm trying to make is for the same price in terms of the defender category, you can pick up a top player from one of the best teams in the Premier League, or for the same price go to a midfielder or forward, but you are dropping down the league table, which I therefore think lowers your chance of returns. Manchester City have a higher chance of getting a clean sheet rather than me going out there and get a Norwich or Brentford midfielder who might get a goal or assist. Because remember, the likes of Brentford, they are predicted to finish the 2nd lowest scorers in the Premier League. So why am I going to go out there and get a Brentford striker when I can go out there and get a Man City or a Liverpool defender who are very, very likely to pick up clean sheets, as well as potential for goals and assists? The final point I want to make today about why I think you should start the season with 5 defenders in your starting 11 is the Fantasy Football Scouts members area tool, the points projection tool. They have a Rate My Team, and they have another algorithm where it takes in the stats and the information, and I think it's the betting odds as well, and it gives you a suggestion of what players are predicted to score over X amount of game weeks. So I'm going to take the first 6 games as my example. We'll stay with my team to show you this example. Trent Alexander-Arnold, for the first 6 games, is predicted to get 30.1 points. Luca Dean is predicted to get 23. Diaz is predicted to get 21.8. Kufal is predicted to get 19.6. And Luke Shaw is predicted to get 22 points. All of those are for the first 6 games. If we now compare that to midfielders for 6.5 million and less, the first player in that category is Rafinha. He's worth 6.5 million, which would make him the joint third most expensive defender if he were a defender. And he's only 0.1 predicted higher than Luca Dean. So Luca Dean is predicted to get 23. He's 5.5. Rafinha is predicted to get 23.1, and he's 6.5. Bowen predicted to get 21.7, and he is also 6.5 million. He would be the joint 3rd most expensive defender, but he's only predicted to get 21.7 points. Diaz is predicted to get 21.8, and he's 0.5 million cheaper. Harrison predicted to get 21.3. He only beats Kufal in my 5 defenders, but Kufal is my cheapest defender at 5 million, which is 1 whole million cheaper than Harrison. So if Harrison's predicted to get 21.3, he doesn't beat Trent, he doesn't beat Dean, he doesn't beat Diaz, he doesn't beat Shaw, he only beats Kufal, who's $1 million cheaper. Trossard predicted to get 21.1 points. He's 6.5 million. Again, would be the 3rd most expensive defender, and he only beats Kufal, who is 1.5 million cheaper. And then we have Sarr and we have Souček, predicted to get 20.4 and 20.1 respectively. Same as Harrison. They only beat Kufal, and they are 1 million more expensive than him. Let's look at forwards. Rodrigo is predicted to actually get 22.9. He's 6.5 million, but he's not even nailed for the lead side. This is based on players definitely playing. Another one is Pukki, 22.1, which is high, 6 million. I just personally don't back promoted strikers. He's just a no-go for me. And Norwich's opening fixtures, I think, are actually very difficult. I'm just personally not backing this one. Also, Norwich are predicted to be the 4th lowest scoring Premier League team. So why am I going to back one of the predicted fewest scorers in the Premier League when I can just go out there and get a Champions defender for the same price? Tony is predicted to get 22 points. Again, 6.5 million, would be the 3rd most expensive defender. Brentford are the bookies odds to be the 2nd lowest scorers in the league. Again, why am I going to choose a newly promoted attacker over a 6.5 million or below defender? Morpay and Benteke, both of them are 6.5 million, predicted to get 21.7 and 21.3. And again, they only beat Kufal in my back line, and they are 1.5 million more expensive. All the other midfielders are below 20 points predicted. For the price, again, for 5.5 million defenders are all predicted as well to get more points than midfielders and forwards for the same price. So the final note I'll say is about this prediction area is that there are 16 defenders. So last season I said 16 defenders, 120 points or more. There are 16 defenders again who are predicted to get 20 or more points in the first 6 game weeks. So we're not just looking at last season's data, but we're predicting as well this season, the first 6 game weeks, 16 defenders are going to get 20 points or more. If we compare the same price, 6.5 million or below for midfielders and forwards, there are just 6 midfielders predicted to get that, higher than 20 points in the first 6 game weeks, and there are only 5 forwards, 6.5 million and below, who are predicted to get higher than 20 points. So again, it comes back to the idea of margin for error. Last season's stats, this season's algorithm and the tool on Fantasy Football Scout is telling you that you have potentially 16 defenders to choose from. Any of these 16 will get you higher than 20 points. Only 6 of these midfielders are predicted to get higher than, and there's 6.5 million as well. And only 5 forwards are predicted to get higher than 20 points in the first 6 game weeks. So again, it's margin for error, it's safety. You can either choose defenders where you've got 16 to choose from, or you can choose midfielders where you've got 6, or forwards where you've got 5. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did and it gave you something to think about, maybe consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. If you want to catch my personal stuff, I'm at FPL Hall on Twitter and FPL Hall on YouTube. I do 1 video a week and I do live streams on a Friday lunchtime about 12 o'clock. Let me know in the comments below, have I managed to change any of your thinking in regards to playing 5 defenders? And if not, why not? Why are you so against playing 5 defenders at the back? What did I say that you think was wrong? What did I say that you think was right? Thank you for watching and giving me your time today, guys. I hope you have a great day. Good luck for the start of the season. And as always, have a good one.